Hi, I'm Thomas Kotcheff, and I'm sitting here with Andrew Anderson, this year's PianoSpheres Emerging Artist. So glad to have you here, Andrew. So let's begin by talking about your entire program you put together for for your concert this year.
Yeah. So the concert I am putting on, the program, uh, it doesn't really have much of a cohesive theme. I tried kind of squeezing something in afterwards, but then I realized there's no point. But the whole idea of the program for me is less about the theme and more about the flow. Uh, I Deep down, these are just pieces I really love. So I just thought, what's first I get all the pieces, and then I thought, what's the order I'd like to put these in that doesn't really make sense. I'd say maybe we'd have the atoms, which is first. This kind of showy, bangy piece. Then we get something completely opposite, like Andrew's piece, and then something completely opposite from that, radolusku. Maybe there's like a little thread in between each, but I wanted it to be a little unpredictable, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I think that that's really nice to go to a concert and just be taken on a journey through the music the pianist wants to give to you. I
Hmm.
really enjoy that. And what I also like is your concert does spread quite a wide variety of aesthetics, as well
Hmm.
as time periods, and as well also with different people from the world. Radulescu, Haya,
Hmm.
Ives, quite a big spread here. It's be really interesting. So you
Yeah.
mentioned the John Adams American Berserk. Tell us more about this piece.
So American Berserk was written in 2001. It's let's see, I used to be very into quotation music, and so this is a piece I found when I was working on that. I was actually working on a different Adams piece with a friend Jack Detling, and we were working on Hallelujah Junction. And I remember being very frustrated with that piece because I was the second pianist, so that means Jack comes in and then I have to lock in a very weird place. And I was getting very frustrated with that, so I thought, what better way to work on that by not working on that and finding a different piece? Yeah. Which is how I found the atoms. And I just went to the library. I found a piece that wasn't one of the gates, and I just started working on that more than Hallelujah Junction, and kind of I think it all worked out for the better because I really like this piece, and it's kind of the piece I'm keeping as something to continue with.
Great. And speaking of quotation, the
Hmm.
Charles Ives Concord Sonata second movement ends the concert. Tell us more
Hmm.
about this piece too.
So this piece in particular, this is one of the surprisingly oldest pieces I know. When I was uh, when I was a senior at UC Irvine, where I got my undergrad, uh, my teacher, how do I say this? I was getting more interested in new music, and I think my teacher caught on because she was like, "Why don't you try the Concord?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, that seems like a good idea." So I started with the Alcotts, and then that was done, and then I went with Thoreau, and that was done, and then I got through Emerson, and I think the one that I didn't want to do at the time was Hawthorne, because that's the scariest one, and that's the one that's just, oh, it's just a monster. So uh, I ended up doing it for my my concert at CalArts. That was my CalArts piece. So what is it? Yeah, it's a great piece. It's such a huge piece, and it's a great way to end the program, just because of how it's also a bangy piece like Adams, but it's also a lot funnier, I'd say. I mean, they're both funny. I'm not gonna bash on the Adams or anything, but it's such a wild piece, and I think it's a nice way to end
Yeah, I
everything.
love how the entire Concord Sonata by Ives, each movement really stands alone as its own piece. And I think to hear it in individual movements, actually, I like it better that way. It's so much to
Hmm.
take down altogether, but individually, it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
So this concert also includes a PianoSpheres commission from Matt
Hmm.
Sargent. Is that right? Said right?
Yeah. Yes.
Who is Matt Sargent? And tell us about this piece.
Matt Sargent's a composer who is currently in New York. He works at Bard, teaches at Bard, and his music's very Feldman-esque, Feldman inspired. Uh, and this piece in particular, it's the first movement in a much larger work that we're going to be working on after this whole situation with staying at home and stuff. But it's let's see, it's entitled Songs Clouds. It's piano and electronics, and you get these kind of drones in the piano of this, or I'm sorry, in the electronics of like these harmonics and these crotales, and you just get this kind of like, what was Vicky saying? I guess that's kind of like the clouds in this example, and then you get the piano, which is just a song. Uh, and it's a very quiet piece. It's meditative, kind of like Andrew's or some of Anea's piece that are also on the program. And it's just been so great to work with them through email. It's been a blast, really.
Is this someone you knew ahead of time?
It was not. I knew of him because he did a piece with the Eclipse Quartet called Separation Songs a couple of months ago. And also there was someone at CalArts, a friend Kevin Good, who was playing ghost music. And these are like hour-long pieces. And I was like, it's, how do I say this? It was just very, I guess, awe-inspiring to hear these pieces. So he's always been in the back of my head, and when I was making the program and thinking of all these pieces, and I learned about the commission, I thought it'd be cool to have Matt's piece, just one of his pieces, but he only has a 6 or 7 minute piano piece, and I thought this would probably be the perfect time to ask him for something. So I'm pretty happy he said yes.
Great.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing the radolusku have his piano song number 2 subtitled "Being and Non-Being Create Each Other," which is for me a Buddhist quote. What does that title have to do with the piece? Being and non-being create each other.
I know it comes from what is it? Radolusku is very inspired by Taoist teachings. So this second one, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all those sonatas they take the titles from Taoist sayings or stuff from the Tao Te Ching. Also the Quest, the piano concerto. Personally, I'm not exactly sure like the inner workings of Taoist philosophy, but I do know in this piece particularly, there's a lot of just like these southern alternations between these quiet, like, meditative things and these just blasting, towering pillars of sound. So I think on a very superficial level, I think that's where I get the being and non-being. Uh, yeah, especially in the first and third movement.
Right, nice. I see actually that you mentioned these kind of contrasts of textures in that one piece, but I see your whole program as having these great contrasts of textures from, just knowing these composers, not the pieces themselves, from very sparse and timbral music to very dense and thick music. Am I right?
Yeah, I think after making the program, I think the two things that kind of caught on after the fact was there is a bit of an American bent to this recital, and there's also a sort of I think it shows how much I like spectral music or spectrally influenced music, relating to your question about the textures. But yes, what was the question again?
Oh, that was just more a comment about the program being these contrasts of textures.
Yeah, yeah. But it is very a lot of them are very texturally based, if they're not bangy.
Well, fantastic. I gotta say, I'm really, really excited about the performance. The date is October 6th, being
Yes.
live streamed, and it's gonna be fantastic. Can't wait to hear it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.